Hi, friends. Welcome to Neighborhood. We're very glad that you're here. I want to invite you to turn with me to John chapter 21 this morning. John chapter 21. And we're going to be talking in a minute about this incredible story of Jesus restoring a broken relationship. So the title of the message today is Starting Over When You've Messed Everything Up. Okay? Starting over when you messed everything up. Now, when it comes to relationships, they can get very messy. It is easy to mess things up. Sometimes you don't even know, and you're not even aware that you are messing it up. Sometimes it's something you said something, they heard something else. So sometimes it's easier than we would like to admit to mess things up. But sometimes you're having a really low moment or a really bad day, and you know you messed something up. So this is a post-resurrection story as well in John chapter 21. And reconciliation or restoring a broken relationship and resurrection, they are linked together. You are resurrecting a relationship. So this is a very practical story for us today. You may have relationships with some tension. You may have some relationships in your life that have been burdened by shame or guilt or mistakes. So I want you to watch very closely because it's the two main characters of this story today, Jesus and this guy named Peter, okay? Or Simon Peter, or Simon, son of John. Okay, so he's got a lot of names. We're going to be following those today. But I don't know if you're the person who's messed something up, like Peter, or if you're the person who has experienced someone messing something up, and then you're like Jesus, and you need to help initiate reconciliation. But this message is for you, okay? So how to start over when you've messed everything up. Okay, so John chapter 21 is where we're going to be today, and it is loaded. I don't have time for my own stories in this one today. This story is loaded. There's so much for us to grab a hold of this morning. So my prayer for you is that you would have ears to hear and that your heart would be open to what Jesus has to say through this story. Okay, so John chapter 21. We started this story last week, and so I'm just going to start where we started last week to catch everybody up to speed. So John chapter 21, verse 1. After these things, Jesus showed himself again to the disciples by the Sea of Tiberias, or the Sea of Galilee, and he showed himself in this way. Gathered there together were Simon Peter, Thomas called the twin, Nathanael of Cana in Galilee, the sons of Zebedee, and two others of his disciples. Verse 3, Simon Peter. Let's stop real quick. Simon Peter, let's talk about this name. Okay, I want you to notice something with me. In the Gospel of John, you will see an evolution in this guy named Peter's name. Okay, he starts out as Simon, son of John. And Simon, son of John is just a simple commercial fisherman on that lake. That's where he was. And then Jesus meets him where he is at the beginning of Jesus' ministry and says, hey, follow me. Follow me. There's this beautiful miracle where they catch so many fish because they throw their net on the other side. And he's got so much fish. But then Jesus says, hey, follow me and I'll teach you how to fish for people. And so this guy named Simon, son of John, drops his nets and follows Jesus. And he's with him for 3 years through Jesus' personal ministry. And there's this amazing moment where Simon, son of John, he realizes that Jesus is the Christ, the one sent by God to save the world. And he recognizes that. And Jesus says, oh boy, blessed are you, Simon, son of John, for you got it. It clicked with you. It wasn't revealed to you by guessing. You stumbled upon something amazing here. So I'm going to change your name. You are now Peter, which means rock or rocky. You know, da-da-da-da-da-da, you know, rocky. You are now Peter, and on this rock, on this confession, I will build my church. So after that moment, his name changes to Simon Peter, or Peter, okay? And so it's a big deal to have the Lord change your name in front of everybody. So that's a big deal. And so his name is changing. But then Jesus gets arrested, and he's heading to trial. And he's getting ready to be crucified on a Roman cross. And Peter has a really breaking low moment where he's around a coal fire. We're going to talk about that in a minute. And these people are asking him, hey, the guy we're getting ready to kill, were you hanging out with him? Because he looked familiar. And Peter denies that he knows Jesus 3 times. Okay? So Jesus dies on a cross. Peter's one of the people who abandon him and leave him and deny even knowing him. This is a very low moment. So this moment here that we're reading is where they come back together again. And we're just going to unpack all that. But it's very interesting here that he's called Simon Peter. Okay, Simon Peter. Because the writer of this gospel is longing for the days when he was Simon Peter. But Simon Peter is actually going to go back to what he was doing before he met Jesus. And he's going to take back on Simon, son of John, the fisherman, the commercial fisherman. So that's where we're going to pick it up here. Verse 3. Simon Peter said to them, I'm going fishing. He's announcing to his friends, I'm going back to what I was doing. I'm going back to what I was doing before I even met him. I'm going fishing. And it's tempting, isn't it, when your heart is broken or when you have a low moment or when you have a failure. It's tempting, isn't it, to just going back to what you know? Going back to the old days, rallying around. Hey, remember before the heartache what I was doing? I'm going to go back to that. It's familiar. I'm going to go back to it. I can't tell you how many times in my life I've been tempted to go back to what I know. Okay? My home state is Indiana. Hoosiers. Okay? Midwest. And there have been times in my life where things have gotten hard. I've ventured far. There's been times when I'm sitting in a snowdrift in Vermont going, what on earth? What choices led me to Vermont in the winter? I miss Indiana. I miss the cornfields, you know? There's been times previous in ministry where I've had my heart broken in Indiana, and then I go somewhere else, try something else, and then I'm like, man, I miss Indiana, and then my heart gets broke again when I return to Indiana. And the temptation's always, I want to go back to my friends. I want to go back to my family. I want to go back to where I know. I know, Peter, I want to go back to what I know. I'm going back to my hometown, and I'm going fishing. That's what he's saying. Have you ever been there? Isn't that the temptation? Maybe it's nostalgia. Maybe it's just like, hey, things made sense back then, so I'm going to go back to the time before I got my heart broke, and I'm going to make sense of it. Maybe some of you have gone back to the place where you remember before your heart got broke, and you've been disappointed because it's not how you turned out. Hey, same familiar people, same familiar places, same familiar restaurant, but my heart's still broke. What's the deal? What gives? I'm here to tell you, you may be able to go back geographically, but you cannot go back. It's a hard reality to accept, but hey, everything may look familiar to before I got my heart broke, but there's a problem, right? My heart's still broke. Just so you know, you can't even literally go back because the earth at its equator is spinning 5,000 miles an hour. And it's spiraling. It is spiraling around the sun at 67,000 miles an hour. The sun itself is spiraling through our Milky Way at 500,000 miles an hour. And our Milky Way is spiraling through the universe. It's an actual spiral galaxy. It is spiraling through the universe at 1.3 million miles an hour. So let's say you go back. You are billions of miles away from where you were, right? We have just been spiraling. It may look familiar, but we are so far away from where we were before you got your heart broke. And here's the reality, and it's awful. I hate being the bearer of this news to you, but it's truth, and truth may help. Truth may set you free. You may be in familiar territory, but you are not the same person as before, are you? You are now the person re-entering where you used to be, but you have a broken heart, and you're carrying shame, and you're carrying resentment, and you're carrying pain with you. You just can't go back. It's not that simple. So Peter's like, I'm going fishing. And they said to him, what did they say to him? They said to him, we will go with you. There are friends here. I would just say this. Be very careful who you surround yourself with when you're in pain, Okay? Fortunately, these guys, they're pretty good. They're good people. They've been hanging around Jesus for a long time. But they want to be there for their friend, and that's a good thing. Just be very careful. When you're hurt and your heart is broke, be very careful who you surround yourself with. There may be people that are just an echo chamber saying, "You're right. You go, girl. You're right. You're right." Sometimes that's not good. Okay, to surround yourself with people. I want to share really quick too. There are two kinds of friends in this world. Okay, there are real friends who are there for you in the low moments, and there are deal friends who are there for you as long as you meet your end of the deal. Do you know the difference? You know the difference? Okay, real friends are there at your lowest moments. Deal friends, they make a deal. They think if I'm friends with you, I'll get something in return for this. And then when the deal breaks, they're out. When you're going through a low moment, they disappear. Peter's a deal friend to Jesus, but I think he's surrounded by real friends here. Be careful who your friends are. So he wants to go back. There's people who are willing to go back with him. So then it says this, we'll go with you. They went out and got into the boat, but that night they caught nothing. It's interesting. You got your people, your heart is broken, you're in familiar territory, you're trying to get that spark again, and you're just like, why is this not clicking? Why is this not working? Because healing needs to take place. You're not catching fish because you've caught a lot of shame in those nets. You're not catching fish because you've caught a lot of pain and resentment in those nets or bitterness in those nets. You've not caught fish because your heart is not in the right place. You are miles away from where you're supposed to be in your heart and your mind, and you've caught nothing. He's not in the right frame of mind to even catch fish, is he? Verse 4. Just after daybreak, Jesus stood on the beach, but the disciples did not know that it was Jesus. Jesus said to them, real quick, if you've been hurt and you want to follow Jesus' example here, you may need to be the person that speaks first. You may need to be the person that goes to the shore, that finds where they are and meets them where they are. You may need to be the person that speaks first, that reaches out first. You're going to find out in a second that Jesus cooked them breakfast. You may need to be the person that cooks them breakfast. Do you think Jesus was hurt by the betrayal? Yeah, I do. He's fully God, but he's also fully human. I think the betrayal hurts. But what is Jesus doing? He's meeting them where he is. He's going to the shore, and he's cooking them breakfast. That's important to understand here. It's important to notice that. And he says this, children, you have no fish, have you? And they answered him, no. He said to them, cast your net on the right side of the boat. You'll find some. So they cast it. And now they were not able to haul it in because there were so many fish. Jesus' response to being heartbroken as well. Jesus' response to this betrayal from Peter. Jesus' response is making the first move, saying the first thing, and generosity. Just know that. Just know that. And I know when you're hurt, it's tempting to go into your own echo chamber, to distance yourself, to surround yourself with other people and go back to the old times and the old ways and the old people. It's tempting to, fight or flight, it's tempting to just flee and then try to recoup on your own and figure it out and lick your wounds on your own. Jesus is not doing that, though, is he? He's going to the shore and he's making the first move. He's saying the first thing. And he's practicing hospitality and generosity. And it says this, the disciple whom Jesus loved, John, the writer of this, said, it is the Lord. The Lord's here. He's asking for you. It's the Lord. This is definitely the Lord. And we're going to see how Peter responds. And this is important. When Simon Peter heard it was the Lord, he put on his outer garment, for he had taken it off, and he jumped into the sea. But the other disciples came into the boat, dragging the net full of fish, for they were not far from the land, only about 100 yards off. Something interesting is happening here, and it's an important caveat for us as well. Jesus is there on the shore. He's making the first move. He's calling out. He's responding with generosity and hospitality. But something really important needs to happen here. And the thing that needs to happen here is Peter needs to show that he's going to respond to bringing this relationship together. Okay? Notice how Jesus could know that Peter's willing to respond. He's putting on his coat and jumping into the water to swim to Jesus. Okay? So that's how you know he's willing to respond. Hear me, friends. You need to know this. Forgiveness involves one person. Forgiveness involves one person. Reconciliation always involves two people. It takes two people. It takes at least two people to bring a relationship back together, to restore trust again in a relationship. So you can forgive them without them responding, but you cannot reconcile without at least the other person responding. And Peter is showing Jesus that he's willing to respond by putting on his coat and jumping into the sea. I think that's fun. Okay, and he's not swimming away from him. He's swimming closer to him. He's not swimming up to him to start a fight, to throw hands on the beach. No. He's really wants to respond, and that's important. Now, maybe you're in a situation where trust has been broken in your relationship, and the person that you've had a falling out with is not responding, is not putting the net on the other side, is not jumping into the water, is not responding to you calling out or reaching out. They're not responding to generosity. They're not responding to hospitality. What do you do then? You forgive them, you let them go, you give them space. That's important to know here. I'm not saying put yourself out there in spite of their actions. That's not what seems to be going on in John chapter 21. Peter's responding to Jesus, and that's really important. Okay, so it says this. Peter, he swims, and it says this: the other disciples came in the boat dragging the net full of fish, for they were not far from the land, only about 100 yards off. When they had gone ashore, they saw a charcoal fire there with fish on it and bread. All right, we need to go back to this flashback. Okay, it's a couple chapters back in John chapter 18. Jesus was arrested. This is Peter's low moment, okay? This is when Peter's denying that he knows Jesus 3 times. Okay, and so this is just a snippet. This is just one verse. You can see the rest of it on your own time if you'd like in John chapter 18. But here's the moment where Peter screws up. This is the moment when Peter messes everything up. It says this: now the servants and officers who had made a fire of coals stood there. It was cold. They had warmed themselves, and Peter stood with them and warmed himself. So where this denial, where this betrayal takes place is around a coal fire. There's only 2 mentions of coal fire in the Greek language. It's a very specific type of fire. There's only 2 mentions of that type of fire in the entire Bible, and they're in John, and it's in that chapter in 18, and it's in John chapter 21. So notice with me something there. This connection is being made. Peter is coming back to a similar fire to the one where he denied knowing Jesus. Jesus is cooking fish and bread over a coal fire. I want you to know something about restoring relationships. You will never be able to restore your relationship without revisiting what happened. You will never be able to restore your relationship without going to that moment. So I would put it this way. Reconciliation, like Jesus reconciles. Reconciliation is not avoiding the shame. It's not avoiding the past. It's not avoiding the offense. Reconciliation, like Jesus, is not avoiding the past. Reconciliation is re-entering into it with grace. Okay? We think in our culture the best course of action is to avoid it. We want to avoid further conflict by not mentioning it, by not bringing it up ever again. Our favorite thing that we say is time heals all wounds. Have you ever heard that before? Time heals all wounds. It does not. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Have you not been to a hospital before? Time does not heal all wounds. You know what heals all wounds? Neosporin. Are we awake today? We good? Okay. Time heals all wounds. No, it doesn't. Some antibiotics. and a shot of penicillin may heal all wounds. Time just adds distance. Again, time is in hopes. When you're just saying that, you're hoping and praying that the galaxy keeps moving, the sun keeps moving, the earth keeps moving and spinning. You're hoping that people will forget about it. All you're doing is adding distance, though. And so Jesus, again, is not avoiding what happened. He's not avoiding it. Peter's not avoiding it either. He's coming to this coal fire. It's very important to know that we're not avoiding this thing. We're just re-entering it with grace. So then it says this, charcoal fire, fish on it, bread. Jesus is responding to this rift in their relationship with hospitality and generosity. And then Jesus said to them, verse 10, bring some of the fish that you have just caught. Again, he's waiting to see if Peter jumps out of the boat and swims to shore. He's waiting to see if Peter comes around the coal fire. He's waiting to see if Peter responds to the breakfast he's just made. The ball is in Peter's court as well here. Again, reconciliation takes two people. And so Jesus has made an effort. Jesus has made the first move, and he's seeing if Peter responds. He's meeting Peter where he is. So it says, bring me some of the fish you have just caught. They got to bring something too. Reconciliation is not a one-sided affair. It takes two to tango. Okay, it's important that they respond as well. Bring some of the fish you just caught. So Simon Peter went aboard and hauled the net ashore full of large fish, 153 of them. And though there were so many, the net was not torn. Jesus said to them, come and have breakfast. A key part of reconciliation, my friends, is invitation. He's inviting Peter to participate in his hospitality and his generosity. He's inviting Peter. He's seeing if Peter is still interested in rekindling the relationship. Let's say Peter isn't. What happens? Let's say Peter stays in the boat. Let's say Peter never throws his net to the other side. Let's say Peter never comes to breakfast. Let's say Peter never shares in the fish he just caught. Let's say Peter never ever responds to any invitation. What would Jesus do? He would let him go. He would, and we can too. That's very difficult to understand, but I don't think you give up on them. But you forgive them, and you give them the space they seem to be asking for. Come and have breakfast. Now, none of the disciples dared to ask him, who are you? Because they knew it was the Lord. Yeah, you know it's the Lord because of the miraculous catch of fish. You know it's the Lord because of the invitations and the hospitality and the generosity. You know it's the Lord because of the grace. You know it's the Lord. So they knew. Verse 13, Jesus came and took the bread and gave it to them. And he did the same with the fish. This is an important verse here, verse 14. This was now the third time that Jesus appeared to the disciples after he was raised from the dead. Notice something with me, okay? Peter denies Jesus 3 times. Jesus is in the tomb for 3 days. Jesus is going to ask Peter in a minute, do you love me? 3 times. Jesus appears to the disciples 3 times. I would say that's a big number. That's an important number. It's an important theme. I'm wondering, though, this is just me just asking, is there a Jesus resurrection appearance every time you screw up? Every time you do something wrong? Is that a clue that there may be a Jesus appearance, but maybe you're not going to recognize him? This is the 3rd time. All right, verse 15. When they had finished breakfast, Jesus said to Simon Peter, now notice this, Simon, son of John. Let's sit with that for a second. Peter has screwed up, and Peter's response to screwing up is, I'm going to go back to my fishing boat. I'm going to go back to the days before I even met Jesus. I'm going to go back to what I know. I'm going to be a commercial fisherman on the Sea of Galilee again. I'm going to go back to doing what my father taught me to do. I'm going to go back to doing that. I'm going to revert back to what I was doing before I even met him. Don't call me Peter anymore. Don't call me Simon Peter anymore. I am now Simon, son of John. Now look at what look at what Jesus calls Peter. Notice it. Say it out loud. When Jesus addresses him, what does he address Peter as? Simon, son of John. He meets him where he is. And then he's going to find out if he wants to resume what he was doing before. He meets him where he is. This is very important. When you're reconciling with someone and someone's screwed up big time, someone's reverted back to their old ways, or someone's broken your heart again, and they just go back to how they used to be, and it's so heartbreaking. When they revert, some of us are tempted to just call them by Peter. Hey, Peter, you really screwed up here. Peter. But what does Jesus do? He meets him where he is. He meets him on the shore. He calls out to him as he's fishing. He calls out to him by name, by the name he's resumed taking. Simon, son of John. Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these? He said to him, yes, Lord, you know that I love you. Jesus said to him, feed my lambs. Something's going on here, and unfortunately, English sometimes messes with the Bible a little bit. So I want to explain a little bit here what's going on. In the Greek, there are multiple words for love that we just translate to love in English today. So, for instance, I say, I love my wife, Lindsay, or I love my children. I'm talking about an unconditional love, a love that doesn't require them to jump through hoops. I just love them. I would lay my life down for them. I love them dearly, my wife and kids. But I also say, I love Taco Bell. And I do. It's the same word in English. I love Taco Bell. I would not lay my life down for Taco Bell. If I keep eating it, I will be laying my life down for Taco Bell. But I love Taco Bell, but not in the same way I love my wife and my kids, okay? So the first word for this unconditional love is the Greek word agape. And the second word, the Taco Bell love, is phileo. So I'm going to use those words instead as we read through this, okay? So I'll just say wife and kids love, and I'll also say Taco Bell love. Sound good? I want you to see what's happening here in the Greek. So when they had finished breakfast, Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of John, do you, wife and kids, love me more than these? He said to him, yes, Lord, you know that I Taco Bell you. Jesus said to him, feed my lambs. A second time he said to him, Simon, son of John, do you, wife and kids, lay down your life love for me? He said to him, yes, Lord, you know that I new Whopper you. And I do love the new Whopper at Burger King, by the way. Jesus said to him, tend my sheep. He said to him a third time around a coal fire, Simon, son of John, do you Taco Bell me? Peter felt hurt because he said to him the third time, do you Taco Bell me? And he said to him, Lord, you know everything, and you know that I Taco Bell you. We got to sit with that too. Jesus is like, do you love me? Lay down your life for me? Unconditional love me? And Peter says, I like you. Well, then he's inviting him. And then, do you love me? The second time. Really, really love me? I like you as a brother and a friend, love you, you know? And then the third time, do you like me as a friend? Talk about love like a brother? Do you see Jesus in that meeting Peter where he is? He's finding out where Peter is, and he celebrates where Peter is. Then he calls Peter forward from there. He's meeting him on the shore, calling him Simon, son of John. He's finding out what kind of love that he's talking about. He meets him where he is and invites him forward. And then a few verses later, he's just going to say, follow me. follow me, follow me, follow me anyway. Follow me, follow me. He's inviting him to participate the same way he did when he first started. And he does. He does. And for the rest of the book, and I just want to say verse 17 here. Verse 17, said to him a third time, Simon, son of John, do you love me? Peter felt hurt because he said to him a third time, do you love me? And he said to him, Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you. And Jesus said to him, feed my sheep. Real quick, notice something with me. Verse 17, Peter felt hurt. After this exchange between Peter and Jesus, he's never called Simon Peter again. He's never called Simon, son of John again. Just Peter. When you have distance in your relationship with somebody, you have to meet them where they are, and you have to return to this place, and you have to return to it in grace, and then you have to call them forward and invite them forward again. Is that going to be painless? No, it's not going to be painless. It's going to hurt. Like Neosporin, it's going to hurt a little bit. Notice that though, it says Peter was hurt. Yeah, he is hurt. Jesus, though, when he touches your hurt, he's not there to make it hurt more. He's there to heal. Help. It's a healing touch. It's not a hurting touch. It's a healing touch. And he's calling you forward. He's calling you out of that. He's helping you as you come back together again. He's inviting and inviting and inviting. So I don't know where you are right now in your relationship with other people. I don't know if there's distance right now. I don't know if this was something that was helpful for your own relationships. I don't know if you're like, I resonate more with Peter right now, or I resonate more with Jesus right now, but there's something for both of us. The main thing here, the contrast with how we deal with issues in our relationships versus how they did here, it's stark, okay? Real quick. If someone wrongs you in America today, it's easy to just focus on the offense and why there's distance because of the offense. Here, though, notice how Jesus is focusing on the relationship. Do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? He says it over and over. He meets them where you are and he asks. He wants to know. The center of gravity is on their relationship, not on the offense. Now, the offense is part of it. He's asking him 3 times, but it's around a coal fire. It's part of it. You don't avoid it. But it's important to know that the focus is on the relationship. I saw this in action. I've been playing around with this idea for a little bit. This past week, kind of how it goes in the early morning routine. My 4-year-old hops in our bed, and then our dog hops in our bed. Sometimes our dog hops in our bed before the 4-year-old does in the morning, and he's under the covers. Sometimes that little dog gets snippy when a 4-year-old pile drives him, okay? Just without knowing, just wrestling move onto the mound that was the bed. That's not a pillow, that's a pug. Look out, vicious pug. So it happened a couple days ago. This passage was on my mind. Liam, the 4-year-old, jumps onto the bed. The little pug gets a little snippy and goes, "Wah!" and then scratches him a little bit with his paw. And that's happened before. And what would happen when that happens is he would cry and he'd be very upset and he'd be like, I can't believe, my dog's named Remy, and my 4-year-old just goes, Mimi! Mimi scratched me, and he's so upset about it. He's so upset. And it happened again. He jumps on him, Mimi scratches him, and he's upset. And with this in mind, I'm like, what if instead of focusing on the offense, we're focusing on the relationship? And I go, does Mimi love you? And he goes, yeah, Mimi loves me. Does Mimi love you? Yeah, Mimi does love me. Did Mimi have an accident where he scratched you? Yeah, Mimi. But Mimi loves me. And then we're focusing on the relationship, not the offense. And so little 4-year-old's now marching down the stairs going, Mimi loves me. I don't know if that helps or not. I don't know. But wherever your relationships are at right now, focus on the relationship. Are they willing to participate in the relationship so you can rebuild trust again? Are you inviting them to rebuild trust with them again? Are you inviting them back into the relationship? Or is there just going to be so much distance, we're not going to try to do that? That's the question I have for you. And this is a great example of how to bring a relationship back together again. And it's a resurrection story. So my prayer for you is that your relationships can be restored if possible. My prayer for you is that you can respond to distance with grace and truth. My prayer for you is that you find out where you stand and you can enter back into something with grace and truth. Will you stand with me?